forgot to hit record. Okay, I'm actually going to start that over. So I'm reading this book. This this lesson or whatever, this is going to be a 2 or 3 part series. Just see how much I get through the next couple of calls. By the way, we won't have a call next week because it's Thanksgiving. So we will continue the next Thursday, which I don't know what the date is. 2nd, 3rd of December. 2nd, 3rd. Anyways, okay, so we're going to kind of hit some lies that we tend to tell ourselves. And this book is all about how to recruit. So when we say recruit, that is other coaches, other like business builders and workers, not necessarily customers. Okay, so that's kind of like where a lot of these lies and stuff are coming from, because that's kind of her main theme of the book. So I'll try to explain as we go through. And I didn't make slides, obviously. You can see that. I'm reading them off of here though. So the first one that she has, which like, in all of these, like this is why I want to do this, because I either say it now or I've said it in the past and wish someone would have like called me out on it. So again, even if it doesn't apply to you now, maybe you can remember it like in a few months or something when you hear yourself say that. I don't have time for this. Like, I don't have time for the business. And we could say that with our workout. Like, obviously, this can apply to a lot of stuff, this first one. But she's like, what you're really saying is, I haven't made this a priority yet. And I was like, oh, like, that's so true. And she said, until this business is a priority, you will have time management problems, and it will be easy to avoid working your business. And I mean, this is like point number 1. And I was like, holy cow, I am literally like just now learning this, I feel like. So maybe if I can help you learn that sooner, that'll be good for everybody. But it's so true. Okay. I am busier now than I have literally ever been. Like, at least since I've had kids, maybe not in college, but and a lot of us are. Like, if you're doing homeschooling or virtual school and like just this whole crazy year of everyone's schedules and things shifting and changing and blah, 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 we all know what we're going through. I was like, when we had to do school at home, I was like, I don't know how I'm going to work my business. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And it just totally threw me for a loop. And now, like, yeah, I have to get up earlier and it stinks and it's not as fun, blah, blah, blah. But I'm actually more focused, more intentional in getting more done than I was a few months ago before school started. And I had all day to do it, you know? And so that is totally true, because I also committed that I'm like, now, and it's okay if you're not, you know, wanting to be like huge business builder. That's not the point of this, but whatever your goal is, if it's not a priority to hit that, even just to help 3 people a month, you would still have to make that time, and you would still have to make it a priority to work this 5 days a week at least. And so, yeah, but like, I'm totally experiencing that now, because I'm like, I'm busier than I've ever been, and we actually have more family time. I'm taking the whole weekend off, which I've never done. I always worked Saturdays. I always had all these things. Like, I was always stressed about hitting Success Club, blah, blah, blah. And now I'm just like, this is my work time. This is the only time I have to work, so I have to show up. Hey, Ashley.
Hey.
And then, you know, so like, I prioritized it, and so it's happening. Anyways, okay, I could probably like stay on that one forever. But we do find time for everything that is important to us. So maybe it's your workout. Maybe it's, she gave a bunch of examples in here. Like, we find time to go to our kids' soccer game, or to go get our haircut, or like, and honestly, a lot of moms, like, we probably don't do that. But, you know, the point is, or like, we find time to binge watch whatever we're watching on Netflix for hours and hours and hours, when we could be working our business or reading our personal development, like things like that. And so she said, the next time that you find yourself saying, I don't have time to work my business, instead try saying, it's not a priority to work my business, and see how that feels. If it feels okay, Like, great. And I actually wanted to read what she said. If it's not a priority, that's totally cool. This is your business and your life. But don't kid yourself. And this was a part that I was like, man, I wish someone would have called me out on this a couple years ago. Don't kid yourself or your business partners or your upline that you want to build a huge business when you're not really willing to make it a top priority. And I can hear myself so many times, like, and I'll come back to this on another one too, but comparing myself, or why is she doing so much better than me? I'm always showing up. I was always showing up. But maybe not in the right ways, which she talks about too. And my why, I did not have my why solid. I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know what I was doing with this. Like I said, I'll just see what happens. Maybe I'll be diamond. Maybe I won't. I don't know. I don't know if I want to build a business. I don't care about money. I was all over the place. And so until you know, and it's okay if you don't know your why yet, but this was just a huge thing that I had to learn in the past. So like a year ago, it all just kind of came together. But anyway, she said, she did talk about your why. And if it's big enough, then you will find the time and you will make it a priority, whatever your why is. And my why has changed over the last 3 years. But for each why, I think I did make it the priority that it needed to be for that goal, if that makes sense. And so now, like, it's a bigger priority. Like, I want to make a full-time income, so I have to show up like I'm working, not a full-time job. Obviously, I just can't do that. But you have to show up like you're going to a job every single day, And she said, maybe your why, if it's not big enough, you're not going to stick with it. Maybe your why is big enough and you are making time for your business. And I think this was me before, but you find that your business just isn't growing. And it could be because you're spending time in the wrong places. So you're kind of doing the wrong activities too long. And that could be a whole nother call. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. If you feel like that's you at any point, like, you can reach out and we can talk about that. But just know, like, that can be a thing too. And that was something that I constantly caught myself, again, like, comparing and being frustrated that other coaches, would do better than me, even though it seemed like I was actually more consistent and never quitting and staying, but I think I wasn't doing enough of the right things, and I was spending too much time on other things, if that makes sense. So, okay, the last thing she said was, it's hard, but the hard stuff is the important stuff. So working your business and the actual actions are not hard, but it is hard to stay consistent and to show up every day. Like, I do not want to get up at 4 a.m. But I know, and there are some days that I fight it, but I know that if I don't, like, the day is gone. Like, that is my time, especially right now with the school and everything. So, okay, that's only number one. Some of the others will go faster, but that one was, like, so huge for me. I feel like really important. Number two, of kind of the, like, bullcrap lies that we might tell ourselves is that I'm talking to enough people. I did this one too. So I feel like I can say all these things because I'm like, oh man, yep, did that one. I totally thought I was doing all the right things, and I thought I was talking to enough people that I should be, like, consistently signing up, and I was hitting Success Club, like, probably a couple of years ago, probably like half the year. Like, it was like most of the months, but then there were still months that I was just, like, really on the struggle bus, and I didn't understand why. And it kind of comes down to numbers. And not that we want to think of people as numbers, because we don't think of that way. But if you're not hitting the goal that you want to hit with your paycheck or with Success Club, and Brianna, I keep saying that. I don't know if you probably don't even know what that is yet. You'll read it in the training. But if you're not hitting those little goals that you want, like, I didn't even care about Success Club 10. I just wanted Success Club 5 for the first while. And and again, I wish someone would have told me this. I thought I was talking to enough people. Like I was doing the right things. I just wasn't inviting enough, right? And so, especially in this past year, I've seen a consistent growth. And nothing I'm saying I'm like trying to brag. I just want you to learn so that you can do it. Um, I have hit Success Club now every month for the past year. And the only difference is like being more consistent with more numbers. And numbers meaning how many people I'm inviting a day. And I think the follow-ups I've always done well with. But so if you don't care, if you just want to see who signs up, then you could sign, sending 5 invites a day. Like I've had to increase it to 10 or 15. And I think it varies depending on the coach and depending on like lots of other things. So there's no magic number. I can't just say invite 20 people and you'll be a millionaire. Like it's different for everybody. And there's a lot of other calls that can explain that too. But she did give a rule. Oh, she was like, I didn't know I wasn't talking to enough people until I started talking to enough people. And I feel like I'm kind of learning that this year. And I definitely upped my game, like in how many invites I'm sending, like every day and not just sometimes, And so I have seen a difference and more consistency in Success Club, like in hitting Success Club now. I'm like, okay, now I want to increase it more because I need my paycheck to be higher if I'm going to make this a full-time thing. So even now I'm like, okay, it's a numbers game again. Like I want to see higher numbers, so I'm going to have to send out more invites. But she did give a really simple rule, the 5-3-2 rule. And this would be a great start is what I'm going to say. This for me now, for my goals, this would be too small, but a great start for you guys to reach out to 5 new people every day. Follow up with 3 people every day, which obviously if you just started, you don't have follow-ups yet. So that means you would have to be inviting 2. And then reach out to 2 business partners, which for me would be like you guys, like my coaches and people like that. So that's kind of her basic thing to like make sure you're always doing. And then obviously if you want if your goals are bigger, then double that or triple that. And that doesn't include invites. So I'm not really sure why she like put that specifically, but make sure that you're doing that too, of course. And Brianna, there's actually this is a side note. I'll try to remember to tag you in a video of like how to find new people and add people, because we'll talk about that another time, but just if I forget, remind me because I'll probably forget. So, but it's so important that you make sure you're talking to new people every day because that's where it's going to grow. And I think that, again, just learned from my experience. That is how I it was like I got a little momentum because I had my warm market. And I had people like Emily, like from college, and all these like mutual friend people that I like friend on Facebook. And, but then I wasn't doing the new conversations. I wasn't reaching out to new people. I was just like, oh, they'll see my post. Oh, they'll see me and then they'll want to do it. But it actually doesn't work that way, unfortunately. And new conversations, I do it every day. And it's honestly my least favorite part of our power hour. But I have tried to not do it and it does not work because eventually you run out of people to invite. And then you're like, I don't know who to invite. I've invited the same circle of people over and over and they're not saying yes. And it goes back to that numbers thing. If you always are reaching out to new people, you will always have new people that are like, oh, who's this girl? Let me look at her story. Oh, I see her posts, especially on Instagram. Facebook sometimes is a little bit different, but so always make sure that you're reaching out to new people. And again, that I think is on the call too, about how and what to say and stuff like that. It is a numbers game and you can't argue with the numbers, she said. So the third lie, and again, if you're brand new, you haven't recruited yet, but telling yourself, and I felt this too, I've recruited enough people. Let's see, I forget what year it was now, everything blurs together, but there was a time where I recruited like 3 coaches in a row who were all like, I want to work the business. And I was like, yes, this is it. Like, this is my big break, you know, I've been waiting for this. And it was exciting, and everyone was learning, and we were doing team calls, and I was still learning. Like, I still hardly knew what I was doing. But so guess what I did? I don't know, I kind of took the brakes off of inviting more coaches. And if you are interested in, you know, building your paycheck, building your downline in a business, even if you don't care if it's a huge business, but if you want to make any money at all, pretty much, besides commission, you're going to have coaches, discount and working. And so I think the mistake that I made that I didn't realize at the time was I was just like so excited and pouring all of my heart and time into those new coaches, but I stopped inviting other people to join as coaches. And she said, if it only took that small number of coaches, wouldn't you hear about the enormous success stories all the time? Like, wouldn't you think everyone would have like this huge success if it only took a few people? And then, you know, people don't always stay, or they have to quit or fall off, or it's not for them. There's all kinds of reasons. And so that's what happened. And then I was like at ground zero again, like starting over again. And it's really cool that I get to learn that and teach it to you so that maybe you can remember that. You can never count on anyone, unfortunately, to be there with you. Like, a lot of the top coaches, they're like, nobody on my team now was like started with me, or like one person is still here that started with me 10 years ago, whatever. You never know. So you can't bank on that and like let it ride out. You got to always keep doing your stuff to keep building it. So she also said this, I don't want this to scare you, but I'm going to share it. She was saying, I should have read the whole page, but the goal that she said, if you're not there yet, or if you're just starting, and I honestly want to make this my own goal too, is to recruit 25 people. So for us new coaches in the first 6 months. So you hit it hard. And her whole deal, let's see. Well, I'm going to talk about that in a second, but her whole deal is like, you invite to the coaching opportunity, and then you default if they say no. Sorry, my throat is like, you default to our products, to our challenge groups, to being a customer. And I still haven't quite mastered that. I'm kind of like learning that from Jessica Bowser Nelson right now. So I can't guide you on that very well, but maybe if you can practice it now, like it's just changing a thing in my brain, because that is not a habit. It's a lot easier once you get used to inviting. It's a lot easier to invite to the group than it is to the coaching opportunity. And we got to flip that, or we'll never get out of it. And it's really hard to invite to coaching. But again, that is how we are going to grow an actual business and our actual paychecks. So her goal was 25 recruits in 6 months, and then 25 more in the next 6 months. And the whole, like that whole little section was like, you know, if you can consistently, she's like, even if you don't hit the goal, like you will, and you worked that much harder to reach it. Right. So I might set that goal for myself for 50, that would be 50 a year in the year. Yeah. I mean, that would be a lot of new coaches, but that would totally blow your business up. Like, that would be amazing. And I think, like, yeah, it would be fun. Okay. Number 4, I only have a couple more, and yeah, and I need to hurry. Number 4 is a lie that you tell yourself maybe is, I'm being coachable, but nothing is happening. And I've literally said that one too, you guys. I'm guilty of all of these. If you were 100% being coachable, if you don't know what coachable means, you can drop, like, say, I don't know, or raise your hand. But just like, if you're asking for help and nothing's happening, are you actually doing what the person told you to do? Basically, being coachable. So if you were 100% doing exactly what they told you to do, you would be seeing success. And so some of the things she said, are you really talking to enough people? Are you leading with the business and defaulting to the products, like just like I mentioned? Are you being consistent working your business daily? Like, and I said that all the time. Like, again, I was working, but I don't think I was doing enough and enough of the right invites and things like that. Oh, what else did I have? Oh, and she even said, and no offense if you think she's like, if you've had a bad coach or like, you know, some bad trainings from people, that's not even an excuse. You could go to YouTube. You can Google and go to YouTube and search anything. Like, all of the coaches have made so many trainings and videos that even then, even if your upline, me, is not helping you, that's not an excuse. You can go figure it out yourself. And yeah, okay, I think that's all I said on that one. So be really honest with yourself. Like, again, if you're not hitting those goals and you've reached out for help and you think you're doing it all, maybe you're not. And so that's where you have to like kind of self-assess. Okay, number 5 is she said, I've got a runner. And when we say a runner, it means like a working coach who's like ready to run with you and like hit your big goals with you, which is always really exciting because it's hard to find someone who wants to do that, especially right away. And I'm actually just going to read a couple things that I highlighted on here because it was easier than writing it all down. So she was also like, be really real and honest with yourself on, are they really a runner or are they just, so she was saying the reality is that a lot of times people, they get excited, like they think they're working and they're, you know, running with them, but they're actually just like doing the bare minimum. Like, so she said, the reality is that their runner has been stuck at the minimum personal volume to be commissionable for 3 months. And I don't know how her business works, but like, for us, you have to have 90 personal volume so that you can get success club points and stuff like that. I think we're still allowed to get commission without that, but so it's probably different per business. But and she's like, okay, that's not a runner or a superstar or a rock star. That's a dabbler who's doing the minimum required to earn commission in a pay plan. And so the whole point of this little section is like, also, that's okay if that's what makes that person happy or whatever, but don't fool yourself that they are like going all in and doing this with you, you know, because again, it goes back to that, like I was giving that example. If you're banking on that runner to like blow up your business and then they're really actually doing the minimum, then you're also missing out again on reaching out, asking new people to join you, if that makes sense. She said, a runner is someone who follows the system to the letter, who reaches out to new people all the time, who brings you multiple, she talks about 3-way calls, which we don't do, who adds new business partners every single month and doesn't stop. That's a runner. You won't know what a runner is until you have one. So until you find one, just trust me, they're not a runner. I just thought that was so funny because it went back to that same story where I was like, oh, like I got him, you know, and until you see the work and for our case, like the success club points and stuff like that, consistently showing up, then maybe you can count on that. But again, don't stop there. So let me make sure that, yeah, okay, I pretty much said all of that, like don't fool yourself. Okay, the last one, we're about done here, is I can only sell products, was the last lie that we'll talk about tonight. And again, this goes back to how she leads with the business opportunity, and then defaults to the product. So if we believe that we can't find coaches and we can't recruit people to the business opportunity to work, then we won't find them because we won't be looking for them. We won't be talking about it. We won't be asking them. And I'm like, this is one that I'm working hard on myself. So I'm not talking to anybody on this one except myself, because I am like stuck in it hard. And I am so good at sending invites now because I've been doing it for 3 years, but it's to the challenge group. And so the business cannot grow very big. It'll grow a little bit because you still get people that get excited and still want to do it. But if we tell ourselves that we can only sell the challenge, like a challenge pack and for the challenge group and stuff like that. And she said, okay, she's like, wrong. The real problem is that you're leading with the products and not talking enough about the business. So like I just said, you get what you ask for. And I think I typed that wrong. I basically said that already. If you don't, I think that's what it is. If you don't talk about the business, you'll never add business partners. And it might feel safe and more comfortable. And if you're new, no invite feels comfortable. So you don't even know what I'm talking about yet. But she said, figure out why it's uncomfortable for you to lead with the business. And then that is what you should be working on. So that is what I'm working on right now, because I'm like I really have to like switch how I'm thinking and switch how I'm talking to people, and even switch what I'm saying on my stories all the time. And so I believe it's possible, and I got myself in a habit. So if you guys can learn it now, it'd be amazing. All right, that's it. I'm going to stop the recording.